Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my everyday makeup tutorial of what I've been wearing lately. This isn't groundbreakingly different to the last makeup tutorial I did, but I am going to be using some new products, including this Dior Forever foundation, and I've just been absolutely loving this all month long, so I wanted to show me using this and then kind of my everyday routine, because I've really been liking my makeup lately, and I feel like I've got it to a good place because I wear makeup every day for my job Monday through Friday, and this is kind of the look that I've been going to during the week because it looks really polished and professional, but it's still kind of me and my style. So let's get started. First off, I'm going to prime with the Tatcha The Silk Canvas Primer. This has been like my ride or die for a while now. I have oily skin and I would not like recommend this as a primer that's amazing for oily skin, but it is really good at helping prevent breakouts. So it comes with a little scooper and I just scooped some onto it there, and then I'm going to close this up. And this actually might be like a little bit too much, but that's okay. We'll roll with it. It's about just like a little less than a pea-sized amount. So I'm just going to rub this between my fingers and then spread this on, especially on my T-zone. And I've changed my camera setup a little bit. So if I'm looking this way, it's because my mirror is here. So sorry if it's like a little sideways, but I'm trying to figure out the best way to have my camera here. So I'm just spreading this in. I really concentrate on the T-zone around my like middle of my forehead, my nose, and right here and my chin, but I kind of end up spreading it all over the face just to help prime my skin. And it's a good barrier, I find, between my skincare products and my makeup, because I do have my daily moisturizer on and my SPF, and then this is just like a nice little layer that helps lock those products in and then prepare my skin for makeup. And I like to apply that first so that it has a chance to kind of set in before I do my foundation. So now that we have the primer on, I'm going to move on to the MAC Painterly Paint Pot, which I'm going to use to prime my eyes. Let me just find my little brush. I'm using this on a, what is this, Sigma E25, just a little fluffy blending brush. This is what I use to kind of spread this onto the eyelids, and my eyelids have had patches of eczema right here, so if they look really dry, that's what that is. I can't really help it. So my eyeshadow has not been applying that great. It's mostly better now. There's just a little bit of flaking you can kind of see there. It's mostly 100% better, though. It was in a state for a while there, but just in case you guys were wondering, that's why my eyelid's a little crusty. Okay, so eyelids are primed. I just like doing a light layer of that because I find if it's too thick, then it kind of defeats the purpose and doesn't really prime my eyelids well. It just helps the shadow like crease more. So I'm gonna go in with my Morphe Artistry palette. This is in the shade 9B, which is Bronzed Babe, which I've showed before. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab my fluffy brush, and I'm gonna go in with this shade right here, which is called Sunnies. And just with this big fluffy brush, set that paint pot primer on both eyes. And a lot of people don't like to set with an all-over shimmer like this. Personally, I like a really like glowy, shimmery eyelid, so this works for me. But if you want to set with like a face powder or a matte eyeshadow, go for it. But this palette also just doesn't have a matte shadow like that, so I just rock with the shimmery one. And then I'm going to go in with this shade right here, which is Hang 10, and I'm taking this on my Morphe M518 brush, which I've been loving as my like crease brush lately. So I kind of start on the outer corners like this and buff this in all the way through my crease. I really like this orangey tone. I find it's really flattering. All these kind of orangey bronzy tones are really flattering on blue eyes. I love orangey eyeshadows, and this is pretty much all I've been doing in the way of eyeshadow is using this palette. So I'm just doing the same thing on the other eye. And then if I want to do a little extra, I'll take this brush. This is my Morphe M505. It's a little bit more like tapered and pointy of a blending brush. It's more reminds me of, this is like the Sigma E40, I believe. The number's rubbed off, so I can't quite remember. But this one's just a little bit more tapered and pointy than that last fluffy one I used, so you can really kind of get into the corner. So if I'm feeling it, I'll go in with this shade right here, which is called Now Boarding. And I'll just pick up like a tiny little bit and kind of add this to the outer corner and buff it through the crease as well. This just kind of deepens it up. Totally can skip this. I'm just feeling extra, and since I was filming this for you guys, I wanted to show you all the possible steps. So that's about all I'm going to do for eyeshadow today. If I want to do a more intense look, I'll go all over on the lid with one of these two shades. This is Vacay or Faux Real. Or if I'm going for just like a more shimmering everyday look, I love going in with sunnies all over the lid. I just use a more of a dense shader brush to kind of pack it all over the lid, and it really gives a nice effect. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm just going really quickly in the morning, so this is about all I do. On a really fancy day, I did this one day this week, I used my ColourPop Birthday Wish Super Shock Shadow, which is like this is probably my favorite all-time so far ColourPop shadows, and that just really elevated the look. Or maybe for nighttime, something like this. I also tend to leave it here without eyeliner, but I'm going to go ahead and add eyeliner today just because I'm feeling it and because some days that's what I do. It just really depends if it's an eyeliner day or not. So I'm going to go in with my Maybelline Unstoppable eyeliner in Onyx, and then I've recently switched to the Too Faced Better Than Sex waterproof Easy Glide waterproof liquid eyeliner. I'm like a huge fan of the Kat Von D tattoo liner. This has been my ride or die for a long time, but I've just found that this one's been drying out really quickly, like every time I buy a new one, and it's not applying as dark. I like the Kat Von D because it's a matte liner and not like a shiny liquid liner. I like when it dries matte. That's just my personal preference for liner, but I have been switching to this one and loving it, and it's okay. I mean, they're all liners, but I'm just going to go ahead and do my eyeliner off camera. I have a whole winged eyeliner tutorial in case you need that. You can search my channel for it, or just skip the eyeliner altogether because I don't do it every day, honestly. So I ended up actually just using the liquid liner and none of my crayon eyeliner, and this is how the wings came out. And now I'm going to go in with mascara, and this is the Wander Beauty Mile High Club Volume and Length Mascara. I've been loving this. I like that it's in a squeezy tube, so you can really kind of like squish product onto the wand. I also find that this doesn't transfer too bad on me, but it does take some layering up. I also curled my eyelashes before I started filming earlier today, so they are curled, but I'm just going to keep layering this on till I get the effect I want, and it usually takes 2 dunks in here for me to be happy with where my lashes are. This is more of like a lengthening mascara, I would say, than a volumizing one, and I tend to like more volumizing, so that's why I kind of layer up. So I'm just going to keep applying this until I feel satisfied. All right, mascara is done, so the eyes are pretty much finished, and now I'm just going to go in with foundation. So like I said, I'm going to use this Dior Forever 24-hour wear high perfection skin caring foundation with sunscreen. Long name. I have this in the shade 0N, so I think this is like the lightest one, and I'm using my Morphe sponge, which has seen better days. It is very ripped up, but it's still working. So I go ahead and do 2 pumps first on my sponge, and I use that for the T-zone, and then I use another 2 pumps on the cheeks. And that's kind of how I have been using this. And then if I'm really going for it and I want like extra full coverage, I'll do an additional 2 pumps and spread it like all over my face. So I got the T-zone mostly blended in, and then just 2 more pumps for the cheeks. And as you can see, this foundation just really gives a nice skin-like finish and kind of blends really, really nicely onto the skin. I've really been loving this. I know they have a Forever like glow version too, but I have oily skin, and this I already find is a pretty like natural and semi-dewy finish anyway, but if you have dry skin, the glow version's probably gorge. Because I just normally stick to 2 pumps on a day-to-day basis when I'm getting ready for work, that's what I'm going to do today, and I'm just going to move on to concealer. And I love this, the Too Faced Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. I have mine in the shade Marshmallow, which I love this shade. It's like ideal for me, so I just do a little bit under the eyes, well, kind of a lot, not a little bit. And then my nose is looking a little red, so I'm going to do a little bit there. And then I have a few zits that are a little bit dark that I want to just cover. I think that's okay. We'll just focus on those 3. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my same beauty sponge and blend this out. I find that this concealer shade is brightening, but not too light for me to use on just a few little spots. Probably could use a shade a little closer to my skin tone for those, but that just like makes an extra step in my routine, which is just a little too much for me. So we're gonna stick with just this and blend this out under the eyes. So concealer is mostly blended out, and I'm now going to use my Charlotte Tilbury Magic Powder. This is the one in the shade 1 Fair. So I'm just tapping some into the lid here, and then I'm gonna make sure that there's no creases on my under eye, and I'm just gonna quickly set this really roughly. I just like to get some powder down there so that no crease is set. And then I'm going to take a little bit more on this brush. This is a Real Technique setting powder brush. So I'm just going to pick some up wipe away any excess that went on with the sponge and continue setting the rest of the under eye area. And then I'm going to take even more in the lid here. I'm just knocking some into the lid like so. And then I'm going to go back with my sponge and pick some up like this. And that's how I'm going to set my nose. I find that this powder is really, what's the word? Like really fresh and more dewy looking. It's not a very mattifying powder for someone like me that has oily skin. If you have dry skin, you'll probably love this, but you can definitely use this if you have oily skin. I just find that I like to press in a little more here around my T-zone, just because I do get so greasy, and this is a really like luminous powder. So once I kind of press in some, as you can see, there's definitely like excess on my nose. So I now switch over to a brush and take what's left over in the cap and kind of set those areas again, just making sure we get the cheeks where I haven't set yet, and then making sure I'm sweeping away any excess from the T-zone area where I set it with the sponge. Then also making sure I'm blending down my neck. I did blend my foundation down my neck. I might have cut the clip a little bit before you saw that, but I just like to make sure the powder sets down that way too, so that everything's blended and my face matches my neck. And if you're like me and you are really looking to retain that full coverage, I like to kind of press the powder into my skin instead of sweeping. So I kind of press it first, much like I was pressing it into my nose and my T-zone with the sponge, and then I kind of sweep over it because I want to make sure that the foundation underneath is like set in place and doesn't move. So I do a lot more like tamping motions like this with the brush. Moving on to bronzer, I'm still on a 2 bronzer system. So I go in first with my Hoola by Benefit bronzer because it's a nice cool toned, more contouring shade. And then I kind of warm the face up with this Laura Mercier matte Radiance baked powder in the shade Bronze 03. So I've been using this kind of combo and my brushes are nice and clean, yay. So I'm gonna first go with this Duo Fiber face brush. This is what I typically use for the Hoola because it's a little darker and more of a contoury shade. And if you're super fair like me, a contouring shade can get like really dark really quickly, and I don't want that. I want it to be like a nice light natural contour. I'm not going too crazy. And then a bigger brush like this also kind of diffuses it out a little easier, so it blends really quickly and really easily and isn't, again, too intense on my fair skin. So I kind of blended Hoola all around the face, just my forehead and my cheeks, and then I'm just gonna take a little bit and blend it under my jawline here just to shadow that a little bit and help blend it down. And then the last thing I'm going to do with Hoola is take my NARS Ita brush, which is this nice little sculpting brush, and I'm just going to lightly contour the sides of my nose. I like to do this not because I care about changing the shape of my nose, but I've mentioned this in previous videos. I'm really fair, and when there was no contour, you could kind of tell all this light area in the middle of the face, my nose kind of just gets lost and it can tend to disappear, especially in flash photography. You fair girls will get me. Sometimes I've taken flash photographs where it doesn't even look like I have a nose. Like this whole area is just whited out and you can just barely see my nostrils, and that's the only way you can see I have a nose. It's really creepy, kind of gives you Voldemort vibes. Anyway, I'm trying to avoid that, so I just kind of lightly contour the sides just because that way my nose is definitely defined in there, and I think it kind of just adds a nice shape to the face in real life, even if you're not taking photos. So now I'm going to switch over to that Laura Mercier bronzer and use this Morphe M530 brush. This is a really fluffy, like natural hair type of brush. So again, I'm not going to pack this on too heavily. I'm just going to go on top of where I contoured, and this is just kind of warm up the face and give more of like a bronzed look in addition to the contour. You can totally skip this also if you just want to rock the Hoola. I think that's plenty. I just like to kind of bronze up a little bit. I think it gives me like more of a healthy, luminous glow, and I think it helps blend the contour of the Hoola a little bit to kind of have more of like a tanny, bronzy shade go along with it. And this, since it's like such like a nice light luminous natural color, you can really go kind of all over with it. Like it's not gonna mess anything up. Sometimes I kind of go like this over the center of my face if I want kind of that like sun-kissed look, but that was just with kind of nothing left on my brush. But I just like tapped the brush in the package one more time, and then I'm just gonna go down the center of my nose just so that that nose contour looks a little bit more like I'm just naturally like sun-kissed there and not so much like I've contoured and highlighted my nose. Just personally, that's the look that I prefer. Some people like to highlight down the center of the nose. Lately, I've just been liking kind of doing this because it looks like I'm just naturally kind of bronzed. For blush and highlight, those are products that I really switch up depending on the day. It really depends on my mood, but I tend to love a cool toned pink blush. So this is probably one of my favorites. This is the Marc Jacobs Air Blush in the shade 500, Lush and Libido. I really like this one, but I've also been in kind of an Essence Satin Touch blush mood lately, so I've used these. This is in Satin Love or Satin Coral. If I'm feeling a cream blush, I love this ColourPop Between the Sheets Super Shock Cheek, which is always a tongue twister. Oh, and there's a fuzzy on my sweater right there. How cool. And then for highlight, I've been switching back and forth between quite a few. I've been back into my Becca highlighters lately. My holy grail is this Kylie Santorini highlighter. When I'm feeling a Jeffree Star moment, I'll use this Supreme Frost Snow Globe from Jeffree Star's line or Benefit Cookie. So I'm kind of all over the place. So let me kind of decide what I'm feeling today. I haven't used Becca products in a while on my channel, so I'm going to go in for my Becca Moonstone highlighter, which I've been using actually a couple times this week and really liking. So I'm taking this on my Morphe M501 highlight brush and just getting the tops of my cheekbones there and kind of this little C shape around the eye. And I always do highlight first because then I find it easy to kind of blend my bronzer and my highlight together with my blush. I'll go in with my blush last. And then I do like to do the tip of the nose. That's a personal preference. A lot of people don't like that. And then I'm also going to do the Cupid's bow. And then one more thing is the inner corner highlight. I like to kind of make it easy and use my face highlighter for my inner corner highlight of my eye. So I'm just going to switch brushes to this little off-brand shader brush I've had forever and really pack on the inner corner highlight there. I love a strong inner corner highlight. This just, I feel like makes you look so much more awake. Okay, highlight is on. Now I'm gonna go with my Standby Marc Jacobs Lush and Libido blush, and I'm just gonna take this on a fluffy blush brush that I've been using this week. This is the Estee Lauder blush brush, number 15, and I've been using more of like the lighter shade here. Darker is probably better if you're tan. Sometimes I use the middle, but I've been kind of sticking to the bottom just for like a little bit of a lighter. Face is pretty much done. All we have left now is brows and lips. So for brows, I've been using the same products forever now. I'm going to use my ColourPop Brow Boss in the shade Ash Brown. This is like my holy grail favorite brow pencil. I just brush my brows upwards first, and there's a fluff on there, and then color them in with the pencil. And then I'm gonna set them with the Essence Make Me Brow Eyebrow Gel Mascara in the shade 03 Soft Brownie Brows. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and be right back. My brows are filled in, and now just to kind of finish off the face, I like to kind of go back over everything with my Beauty Blender, using that same side where we used for powder and foundation, especially on the nose, just to make sure that the nose highlight and contour isn't too intense. And I don't like too intense of a cheek moment for my everyday look either. So I'm just going back over everything just to kind of blend everything together. You might want to like just powder a little bit more. If you're super oily, that's probably what I should do, but I tend to just do this and kind of make sure everything's mushed together. And then I'm going to go and do lips. So I'm going to use my Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in the shade 600 Anywhere Caffeine. And I did this the other day and overlined my lips and really liked how it came out. So I'm going to try and do the same thing today. Hopefully I don't look like a clown. We'll see. Okay, so my lips are overlined. Hopefully they don't look too like insane and uneven on camera. But then I'm going to go on top with this Sephora cream lip stain in the shade 40. This is like my favorite. This Sephora cream lip stain formula is like one of the best liquid lipstick formulas. I love their True Red. I love this shade. The problem is they don't have anything lighter than this. Like this is the lightest nude and this is like a deep color on me. So I wish they would kind of expand their range to some lighter colors, but I'll take what I can get because it's a beautiful formula. So if you noticed, I like scraped off a lot of the excess, so I'm not doing too thick of a layer, but just enough to kind of fill in the lips completely. All right, you guys, this is the finished makeup look. I hope you enjoyed this. This has been my everyday makeup look. I have lots of lip combos that I've been loving at the moment, so I switched that up a lot, and I also switch up kind of the blush and highlight. But overall, it comes out looking like this most days, and I've really been loving this liquid lipstick in particular, especially for my everyday life where I'm going to work, because I need something long lasting that's gonna look good all day working, going through meetings, meeting with clients, doing lots of different things. So I really like this because it's long wearing. I am oily and I do definitely get greasy with this look. I tend to kind of blot in the middle of the day just to keep me from looking too greasy. I would definitely recommend using a more mattifying powder if you're super oily, but otherwise I think this is okay. I'm fairly oily and some days I don't blot at all. It kind of depends how like humid it is outside or how hot and sweaty I get, how long this is gonna last, but pretty much this is my everyday makeup look. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave me a comment down below and give this a thumbs up if you did enjoy, and I love hearing from you guys. Let me know what you'd love to see next on my channel, and please subscribe so that you don't miss my next video, and thank you so much for watching.